views and opinions expressed on Generations Vibe platform are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Tapaya It Productions. The material that you are experiencing in this particular video on our podcast and on our YouTube and any other platform that you are being presented this information on, we are fair use disclaiming that all of the information is being used for educational purposes such as criticism or comment, news reporting, teaching, and is not an infringement upon copyright. If you have any specific concerns about the video or anything on the fair use,
Hi, I am Tipaya. I want to introduce you to our next segment. This one is titled Word of the Day.
of genealogy. Hebrew really references lineage. The older Greek and Hebrew languages, genealogy is a term that we are using in present time for the same topic. In Greek, the Strong's Greek, the word patria means family or lineage, and the meaning of tribe or nations is phyle, Phyle. The term mispacha primarily refers to a family or clan, often extended beyond the immediate nuclear family. So that gives you the overall of where we're going with this topic. And what this entire podcast is all about is looking into the family, looking into the lineage, looking into the nations that are birthed through these connections, whether they be spiritual or biological. That's our real focus. Is paying attention and bringing that information to you. So we thank you. We're going to move on now. Okay, let's look at this topic. Who told you your spiritual genealogy does not matter? Is the question I want you to ponder today. And the other question is why does the Lord teach lineage from the Bible? Let us make man from our image, male and female, has some significance there, would you say? When we look at the book of Genesis, the 25th chapter, verses 23 through 27, what we want to take note of are two twin brothers, Esau and Jacob. The image and the character of these two represent the character of our descendancy into the spiritual heritage from which we should find easy to define ourselves today. Let's look at them. All right, let's just take a look. Which image and character best describes your spiritual genealogy today? Let's begin there. Okay, so we know that Isaac and Rebekah had two sons. Esau, who was a skillful hunter and his father's favorite, had no real interest in spiritual things. Man of God, dwelling in tents, and he, his mother's favorite. Genesis 25 and 29, knowing the character of his brother, Jacob replies to Esau after Esau returns from hunting one day, sell me this day the birthright. Esau had no interest in spiritual things, so he agreed, saying, I am at the point about to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? Verses 32 to 34, Esau could not have been at the point to die because he was only missing that meal for the day. But he revealed how worthless he considered the birthright. So we know, as the story tells us, God records his highest praise and blessings for Jacob. The Lord has chosen Jacob unto himself, according to Psalm 134. Let us be reminded that the record that the Lord has written about these two brothers All right, so what we want to take away is the blessings and the curses are the things that are the focus, even yet today, because that is a commodity in which the Lord dwells in, the heavens dwell in, the humanity was set upon. Esau was destined to live by the sword and to serve his younger brother, and would rebel against the blessing to break the yoke of the blessings given to Jacob. Now, the rivalry answers the question, why are Jacob's descendants still hated by the descendants of Esau? Well, you now know if you didn't know before. Jacob was destined to be served by his brothers and nations. When we look at Revelations, the 20th chapter, that 4th verse, we also know that Christ is hated by Satan because he will rule the earth and the saints that dwell with him, and Satan's evil will be destroyed. All right, let's lay out in this next segment who are the 12 tribe descendants of the sons of Jacob. Let's just take a look at that. The next son in line is Simeon. Simeon represents the descendants today of the Dominican Republic, found in Genesis 29:33. Next, and with the eldest son of Jacob and Leah. His name is Reuben, and he represents today's descendants, the Seminole Indians. And you can find that in Genesis 29:32. Next, the next son in line is Simeon. Simeon represents the descendants today of the Dominican Republic. The third son born to Jacob and Leah is Levi, and Levi's descendants are representative in the Haitian uh, generations today. Born to Jacob and Leah is Judah, and Judah represents my ancestry here in America, those blacks that were brought into America by um, oppression and slave and in chains and shackles. And so Genesis 29:35 and 49:10, the significance here is that Christ's lineage is off of the branch, out of the branch of Judah. All right, next we have the son born to Jacob and Bilhah on behalf of Rachel is named Dan. Next we have the second son born on behalf of Bilhah for Rachel, who was Naphtali. This represents our Hawaiian and Samoan generations today, descendants today. The next child born to Jacob and Zilpah, who was birthing children for Leah, is Gad. This son's name is Gad, and he represents our indigenous Americans today. The next child born to Jacob and Leah through Zilpah is named Asher, and Asher represents the generations or descendants of Brazil and Venezuela. We do know that there are others that were brought over on the slave ships as well that were part of that transatlantic slave trade. Next, we have the next son born to Jacob and Leah. By this time, Leah is having her first child, and his name was Issachar. And Issachar, we know, is representative of the Mexicans. This now is the second son of Jacob and Leah. The name of this son is Zebulon. Zebulon represents those in Panama, um, the generations and genealogy from Panama. Now we have the firstborn of Jacob and Rachel. Their firstborn son, of course, we know is Joseph. And Joseph had two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, that play into the 12 tribes' future being carried on. All right, we have Ephraim carrying on for his father who is now deceased, and Ephraim represents the Puerto Ricans. We also have Manasseh carrying on in his father's name, and the Manasseh represents the Cuban generations. the last son born to Jacob and Rachel passes on after the birth of their son Benjamin. And Benjamin represents the Jamaicans. They also were enslaved, taken in, or enslaved in their country. We also want to make mention that Jacob and Leah had one daughter whose name was Dinah. Next. Let's take a look now at the trending topic for today. The question that we want to ask ourselves is, does the Bible conflict with itself? Um, the what would be a conflict would be to say that the holy days were created in the same manner as holidays, and to honor them with the same equivalency is the question that we want to tackle at this point. Let us stop and take a moment to just answer that question. Does the Bible conflict with itself, or is somebody lying? Is Satan a liar when he asks us to believe that one aspect of the Bible, the book of Exodus, is a book that represents the Ten Commandments, and we are to believe in those Ten Commandments? But then we have those in the Christian faith, and I know because I was brought up with this philosophy, which I thank God He's helped me to understand today, makes no sense. And that is that if I believed in the book of Exodus and I believed in the Ten Commandments, then why then would I not believe in the book of Leviticus and the holy days that were established by God, given to Moses and Joshua, to give to all the people throughout all of the age of humanity? But yet we are asked to conflict with ourselves ridiculously without any validation to say that one book we should apply to our lives spiritually and the other one we should somehow reject because someone has indicated to us that we are not a part of that book. Let's get real, people. Let's tackle that. Here's the get real peel. Who told you that holidays were created by the Lord? Who are the gatekeepers of your salvation? Mortal men or the eternal Lord? Let's grapple with that. Do your research. Leviticus 23, Exodus 20. Why should you believe one and reject the other? No one's defined for you who you are, where those 12 tribes are. So why would you just believe without any evidence that it's not what's been presented to you today? We call on you to raise your level of thinking above that, beneath the heathen in the earth, who Christ describes as the synagogue of Satan, and dealt with them accordingly. It's time to wake up, people. Then you shall know the truth and be set free. John 8:32. The Bible is the superior constitution. Learn it, eat it, get full on it, write it on your heart.